Good? Let's do it.
All right, good evening. If everyone could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome to the regular scheduled supervisors meeting, April 22nd. We did have executive session. We had one on April 9th where we discussed personnel issues. Additionally, tonight we had executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed the Garland zoning hearing, link appeal to the Commonwealth Court, the Action lawsuit, and PWTA, as well as additional personnel issues and litigation or potential litigation. All right, so if I could have a consent agenda approval for A through D.
So moved, Caleb.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion, gentlemen?
None for me.
Nope.
Okay. Confirmed appointments, none. Legal solicitor report. Jack?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item on the solicitor's report is a zoning hearing appeal of Carissa.
Can you talk louder, please?
I'm sorry, I'm not speaking into the mic, I think is the issue. Is Carissa Manera in the audience? Oh, hi. There you go. This is a zoning appeal. Why don't you come up to the podium and you can tell us a little bit about your zoning appeal.
Hi, I'm Chris Monero. So our goal is to bring a daycare into Calvary Church, and our goal is to bring more availability and more affordability into our community, and it's such a need for childcare. A lot of these daycares have a 2-year wait list, so our goal is to bring more availability into our community to help our families.
So this is a special exception application to the zoning hearing board. There's nothing, you know, this type of use is common sort of in church or places of worship facilities. So this is, you know, not unusual in that sense. It does require special exception approval. You should know, going to the zoning hearing board, there's a legal test for securing a special exception. It's not, you know, there's going to be certain requisites to meet. You could benefit perhaps by having counsel there or someone to assist you.
Okay.
But I don't see any particular need for the township to be there.
I don't. Joe, any opinion?
No, I'm good.
Nor do I.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Yes,
Thank
good
you
luck.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the solicitor's report is a grant of right-of-way agreement with PP&L for some public utilities. In your packet, this is simply an agreement to move, necessary to move some PP&L electrical lines and get them out of the way of some township facilities, which has taken a little bit of effort to get them to finally do this, but they're going to do it. So they need this agreement so they can do the work. So it's just been reviewed and discussed with PP&L, so if I can get a motion, we'll get this signed.
Jim, is this above the tennis courts?
Yes,
Yep.
these are electric lines that hang over the tennis courts. They will be moved, rerouted to tennis courts then. So for you tennis players, you'll be able to have that effective lob shot without hitting the electric lines. So, and also, you know, then it'll be completely wide open up there. And like I said, we're just going to go right around there. So it's just a simple grant of right of way.
All right, can I get a motion to grant a right-of-way agreement for PPL for public utilities on 15-028-136?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Any discussion?
None.
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then the last thing I have in the solicitor's segment is seeking authorization to advertise an ordinance which would create a Parks and Recreation Board for the township. There is a version of this in your packet. There's been some suggestions from Supervisor Metzinger, some additions to this, which was circulated with the board. I think they're good additions. That's addition to what you see in the packet. There'll be a residency requirement, though that may be implied by statute. It's probably better to have it right there in the ordinance. And then there was also an annual report that would be generated, which I think is a great idea. So with that, I'm looking for authorization to advertise the revised ordinance.
Okay.
And then we'll have a hearing on that ordinance as soon as we complete the advertising.
Okay. So looking for a motion to authorize the advertising of ordinance 2024-001 with the changes as discussed.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on.
All right, thank you.
Okay, under planning, the first item is the ATS Springs Land Development Waiver. Is the applicant here tonight? Why don't you come up to the podium to potentially answer any questions the board may have. This project was at the Planning Commission meeting on April 15th, last week, at which time the Planning Commission did recommend a favorable recommendation of approval of the waiver of land development application for construction of a 53-foot by 35-foot storage building addition associated with an existing commercial use. The recommendation was conditioned upon compliance with the items in the April 5th, 2024 engineering review from my office. Just to recap, from that review letter, there was a waiver letter submitted which contained some justification for asking for the waiver. Basically, it was outlined in that document that they're only intending this for storage. There's no new truck traffic or anything or water and sewer needs that are going to arise from this addition. They are going to have to comply with the stormwater management ordinance, which would be the case either if it's a land development or not. They still have to do that. They still have to comply with the Bucks County Conservation District requirements for soil erosion. It was represented at the meeting that there would be no additional lighting added to the site. And also just to point out that this process does not circumvent the normal zoning review or building code reviews for the building. Is there any questions from the board on the application that potentially the applicant could answer anything related to the use or something I didn't cover?
Just to be clear, this is no more employees, correct?
That is correct.
Good. Simply storage.
I have none, Caleb.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
So they would be looking for a motion to waive the land development process subject to the items contained in the April 5th, 2024 engineer review.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion, exactly what Tim said. Approval of a waiver of land development contingent upon the completion of the contained agreements and whatever, letter dated April 15th. Is that what you said, something like that?
April 5th.
April 5th.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Caleb.
Any discussion, guys?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. The next item is before you tonight is a sketch plan, and I think I did see the design consultant here, and so if you guys want to come up and take a spot at the podium or the table over here, somewhere where there's a microphone, please. The applicant requested to be present to present a concept plan for development of a 3.1 acre vacant parcel located at the intersection of Keystone Drive and Bethlehem Pike for a commercial/industrial crafts use. This sketch plan was reviewed by my office within correspondence dated April 4th, 2024, and was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting last Monday night. The applicant's here tonight to seek feedback from the board so that they know how they would like to proceed if they choose to with a formal preliminary land development application. So at this point, I'm going to let Mr. Hiblin and his client present their project and go over any questions or concerns that the township may have on that.
Good evening, board members. My name is Anthony Hiblin.
practicing civil engineer in the local community here for 35 years. With me tonight is the client applicant, Eric Kasperson, who represents Max Performance. The project site is located at the intersection of Bethlehem Pike and Keystone. A new facility under the G8 commercial industrial crafts use in this commercial district is proposed. The lot is zone PC1 planned commercial district. It is not a retail store per se, as there have been applications before us on this particular site. This site is for sale and under agreement right now. The proposal here, you bet. The proposal here is to establish Max Performance's facility, which is now located in Hatfield, here on this site. Everything that we're proposing complies with the local zoning code, with the setbacks, with the coverage ratios, with the uses. Further to that, with regard to the setbacks, this is a corner lot. You might even go so far as to say a three-corner lot. We are bounded by 3 roads with this site. So with regard to that, one of the roads is unopened. The other is a state road, and the other is Keystone is the Township road. The access to the site was designed so as to be safely designed and operational. It is lined up directly with the center line of Devonshire. It's a very low volume use. I'd like to state that. We're looking at 15 employees here with no real public demand to visit this operation. So you're looking at 15 cars in the morning or so and 15 at night. There is going to be some FedEx and UPS pickups and delivery of materials. We expect 1 tractor trailer a week, if that, probably 2 a month. We've designed the intersection and the loading docks to accommodate that on the site so as not to be on the roads. The parking requirements exceed our needs, but we have shown we can comply with the township required number of parking spaces. And as Tim pointed out, we will be before this board and your planning commission and the county planning commission to discuss the site and go through the land development process. This is only a sketch. It's not mandatory. We're here seeking the township's thoughts and discussion and topics and interest level. The parking code does allow, if we can show where the capacity and where they could be built, to reserve that in green grass, which would be our preference. And then if needed, whether the applicant owner needs additional, he'll come back before you, or whether you decide you want us to put it in, we'll go along with that code requirement. But that was just one of the items we thought that seemed to make sense because this is such a low volume proposal. Let's see. The stormwater management systems will comply with the township code as well as the state NPDES requirements So we'll utilize best management practices on this site to collect and manage stormwater as it has never been done so on this site to date. The thought here, as I said, to minimize the parking lot, we would also minimize the lighting of that lot. There'll be a few hours during the season that will need lights in the morning, and a few hours after work when the season has, it's dark around 5:30, and just have a couple security lights. But we're not trying to light up the place. We will use dark sky technology, shields on the lamp heads, and keep the light down on the pavement rather than glowing in the atmosphere and shining elsewhere. All lights will point towards the inside, and no lights will be pointed to the outside. Landscape buffering is something Tim brought up. Again, not only are we on 3 streets, it requires street trees on every one of those. There are also significant vegetated buffers that we will make every attempt to meet the code. If at some point there are existing trees, we'll survey those trees, note those trees, check the health of those trees and the species and what life is in those trees. And if some of that vegetation can meet the code requirement, we'll show the Planning Commission and this board where that might be the case. And if not the case, that none of that is usable. There might be some dead ash trees and some other disease trees, but we will survey all of that in the coming weeks and put that on our application plans with the buffer requirements as well that kind of beef up. The street tree is I think one every 40 feet, whereas the buffer is every 5, 6, 10 feet, and that would happen right behind those street trees. The thought would be to improve Keystone Drive, to curb, sidewalk, and restripe the shoulder, but to leave Orchard Road, which is an existing shared driveway for 2 residents, to leave that as their private driveway and not to build a new Orchard Road. We would not take any access from that current driveway, nor do we think it's achievable to build Orchard Road out to Bethlehem Pike, as there's a significant grade change there that it looks like even PennDOT didn't want to make that attempt. It's a obtuse angle and a different elevation. With regard to Bethlehem Pike, we are not going to take access to it or alter that in any way unless this board thinks we ought to. Again, we'd like to hear the board's thoughts on that. Eric, do you have anything to add? I think I covered the application. So if you have any questions of myself or the applicant, or if you'd like to add your thoughts as we get into the design and application plans, any and all things we hear tonight can certainly be part of this plan application.
I have a couple. Go ahead. Pardon me. What exactly is max performance? What it's automotive? I'm taking it, and most of it, or all of it, or
it's craft automotive. So there's a few model years. There's a few model years and a few models and manufacturer brands. Eric can speak in more detail. But muscle cars,
okay,
that kind of thing. There's a huge demand, really online from coast to coast.
That's what I was trying, when you said 15 employees and not much traffic, so most of your business is going to be people order something for said muscle car, whatever year it is, so on and so forth, you send it out accordingly.
It's a little different than that,
Okay.
whereby there are distributorships across coast to coast
Okay,
that Eric supplies to them, and they do the online
I see.
business. Although the wholesaler can go online direct
Okay.
through this website as well. But yeah, the nature of the business is not a retail
Gotcha.
dollar store as what you may have seen in the past. So we're not inviting the public. There'll be no signage on Bethlehem Pike. Out front on Keystone, there might be a sign for the occasional UPS or FedEx truck, obviously with our address on it.
Thank you.
But nothing lit up, no LEDs, no flashing.
Great. That's all I had, Caleb.
Joe?
Where are you guys located right now?
1513 North Broad Street in Lansdale,
In Lansdale.
but it's Hatfield Township.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So presumably you're going to be expanding. You mentioned it's a low volume business, but I assume you want to continue to grow. Is that?
Yes, we're growing. Right now, we're kind of restricted as far as our square footage plus our height that we can go up. We cannot go over I guess it's a 12-foot height limit, or yeah.
Okay.
They don't have a good enough sprinkler system installed, so we need an upgraded, expanded square footage, plus we can, obviously, with a new construction, we can go higher as well.
Got it. Is this size and setup here that you're proposing, is this going to sustain you for a while, or?
It should, unless something drastically happens, but there's plenty of growth in this.
Speaking of growth, is that what that little addition is on the very end?
I was going to say, there is, Eric's gone through this with us, so there is a future expansion area of 2,000. But right now, we're looking at whether the 18,000 is the first up. We might be around 16,000 and then reserve 4,000. One of the other things I didn't mention, Eric, I don't think you did either, the assemblies and parts, they're not explosive, they're not flammable, there's no oil, there's no gasoline, it's like key set assemblies and things that you can't find for an older model muscle car that you want to have that original OEM. So that's the kind of parts he's.
What were your hours of operation?
It's typically anywhere from 8. I mean, I have people coming in at 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock Monday to Friday.
So normal
Business hours. I can't remember the last time we worked the weekend. So
Good for you. And Tim, did Caitlin rule in on the buffers?
Yes. Subsequent to my letter being written, there was an inquiry on whether or not a double frontage or reverse frontage buffer would apply if this were considered to be a double frontage lot. I believe Caitlin's determination was this is a corner lot, which is distinct from a double frontage lot, and therefore that would not apply.
Good. Okay.
Bless you.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I think it's, no.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in as to these guys, I'm sure, and look forward to seeing what you're going to bring next. I can't see any objections.
So just so everyone's clear, this obviously is only a sketch plan. The board's not taking any action tonight. The next step for the applicant, if they choose to go forward, is to file a official preliminary plan, land development plan with the township, which would then initiate a further round of reviews and going to the planning commission, back to supervisors, all at public meetings. So if anybody in the audience has any interest in this and they want to come to future meetings to follow the project along, that would be the next step.
Okay.
All right.
Are you taking public comments?
We'll have public comment at the very end.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, engineering?
Okay, the first item under engineering, 6A, is the Hatfield Township Municipal Authority. The Hatfield Township Municipal Authority is requesting that the township adopt a resolution that outlines their local limits for regulating discharges of processed wastewater in accordance with DEP and US EPA pretreatment requirements. So before you tonight, you have Resolution 2024-12, which outlines the requirements of the Hatfield Township Municipal Authority local limits, and they're looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Okay, can I get a motion for resolution 2024-012?
I'll make that motion, Caleb.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item then is the East Creamery Road culvert replacement. This is a culvert that's closer to the intersection of Cowell Hill Road on East Creamery Road. This is a old culvert. We believe was built back in the 19-teens. The upper end of the culvert is starting to show some deterioration to a point where we had a structural engineer look at it. The best course of action we felt from all that analysis was to have the culvert replaced with a new culvert. Design plans were prepared, a DEP permit was secured for the township to replace the culvert. The next step to initiate that process of replacement would be to have the board authorize our office to prepare the bid specifications and contract documents and put it out to bid on pen bid for consideration of award of a contract at a future meeting. So I'm looking tonight for authorization to do just that, to prepare the bid documents and project specifications for public bid, and to have a bidding process on behalf of the township.
Okay, so anybody want to move the motion for authorization to bid the East Creamery Road culvert replacement?
I just have a question actually first.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Tim, can you just walk through the timeline on this? Do you anticipate that we'd be in a position to commence work this year, or would this?
It's going to be tight for this year, and just because I don't know usually the way these things work is the culvert is a precast concrete box culvert. It takes many months to fabricate that, and that's only going to start the process of fabricating once the contract is awarded and the contractor knows this is a go. So hypothetically, if we can get this out to bid within the next 3 months or so to have a bid award, that will take us into the summer. And then it's a question of, once the contractor is selected and they satisfy all the conditions of the bid award, have their bonds and insurance and all that, then they have to order the culvert. So even if it starts by the end of this year, I don't know that it'll be complete until next year, to be honest with you.
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay.
How long does that take, the actual physical work?
Well, I can go off of the experience we had on Schoolhouse Road about a year and a half ago. We replaced this culvert on Schoolhouse Road. Once the culvert was obtained in terms of delivered to the site, literally the replacement only took about a month or so, give or take. But it's very quick once the material is available to install. It's just a matter of getting the material to install.
Right.
Longer process waiting for the material to be built, and shorter process to actually physically build it in the field.
Ballpark cost is?
I'm going to estimate at this point it's going to be probably upwards of $300,000 total bid. Again, obviously we might catch a break with how many bidders there are, how much interest there is. Could be a very competitive, hopefully, process for the township. Usually when there are a lot of bidders involved, the numbers get, pencils get sharpened and numbers get tight, but I'm going off of, again, what we did on Schoolhouse Road. It's a similar type culvert. We were under that number on Schoolhouse Road, but that was a year and a half ago by the bid, so obviously, as we know, things are getting more expensive, so I'm hedging upward on the estimate.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking for authorization to bid the East Creamery Road culvert replacement.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, and then the last item under engineering is the Route 113 Mincy Trail intersection. Just to give everybody get some background on this one. So about 10 years ago, when the Regency at Hilltown subdivision was going through the approvals process, one of the conditions of approval that was imposed by the township on the developer was that the developer, once all the homes were constructed in the community, was required to analyze that intersection for the possible installation of a traffic signal. And if a traffic signal was warranted based on that analysis, the developer, at its sole expense, was to prepare signal plans and a traffic signal permit application for review and consideration by PennDOT. Ultimately, the application has to come from the township because, as you may know, even though they're intersection of two state roads, the township still owns and responsible for a traffic signal device at that intersection by PennDOT requirements. So fast forward a few years, now there's talk that PennDOT's going to do a roundabout at that intersection. Even with that being on the table at this point, what I'm looking for from the board tonight is to seek your authorization to still have the developer follow through on that process to get a permit application together to send to PennDOT so that PennDOT can consider whether or not a signal will be warranted. Just to be on the safe side, if for some reason the roundabout project does not proceed, then hopefully the signal project could proceed and fulfill a need there, because I think we all know that intersection could use some additional controls. So I'm looking for, I don't know if it has to be a motion or just a consensus of the board to proceed with that process.
I think we should make a motion.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, so let's look for a motion for authorizing the developer to move forward with the signal project for Mincy Trail and 113.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Do you have a question, Joe? You look like you wanted to ask.
I'll
Are you
during
sure?
comment period. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Tim, if you could, I think it's just important for everyone to be aware of. So, based on your interaction with PennDOT, have they committed to moving forward with the roundabout, or is that still?
The people I've talked to are in their permits unit. I haven't talked to the people who are actually doing the roundabout project, so I don't really have any inside information on that. What I can tell you is the permits unit isn't necessarily aware or assured that there is going to be a roundabout there, at least not from what I could gather. But they're also not willing to rule out a signal going in unless they have an application before them. So
Right.
just to have the application submitted to them will hopefully force some kind of a confirmation or approval for something at that intersection.
Right. Okay, so best case, we submit the application. We ideally get approval and get a light in there, but also gain information around
About the roundabout.
at
Right.
the same time.
Yeah.
But regardless, we're not going to leave. I think the agreement with toll is if we do not move forward with a traffic signal, which is $300,000 or $400,000 roughly,
Right.
they would give us a capital contribution of $100,000. So if we would basically, we're pushing for the traffic signal to be put in.
Toll is committed to following through on their obligation by
Right.
the conditions of approval. They're not trying to circumvent this.
No.
No.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
I think we're all, needless to say, anxious to hear something from PennDOT.
Yep.
So did you vote?
Yes. Oh, all those in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, gotcha.
We did now.
That's all I have.
Yes. Yep. Okay, unfinished business. Moyer Road speed study. Chief, you want to tell us what happened out there?
Good evening.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, just to go back to your other thing that you just approved, as late as probably 2 weeks ago, I emailed PennDOT and going back and forth with them, got a statement that possibly that would start next year as far as the roundabout. So just so you have frame of reference.
Okay.
As far as Moyer Road, I don't know if you saw the memo I put in your mailboxes. We completed a traffic study on that road. We're recommending posting that speed limit at 35 miles an hour based on that study.
Okay. You looking for agreement from the board?
That is up to the board at this point. There would have to be an ordinance enacted, so you would have to approve that.
Yes, if now,
No, this is great.
yep. Carry on, sir.
I think we move forward. We authorize ordinance to be drafted. Change the speed limit.
Yeah. Let's get a motion to authorize a ordinance to be drafted to change the speed limit on Moyer Road.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second that, Caleb.
any discussion?
None for me. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Unfinished business, brief 309 connector update.
I'm sure that's why everybody is here tonight, or the majority of you, I should say. No?
We're all here for the Keystone Bethlehem Pipeline thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We've appreciated being able to talk to the engineer and the.
Okay, all right. Wow, way to misread the room, Supervisor Grove. With that being said, brief update regarding the 309 connector. Following last month's meeting and a good discussion that we had with the public, we authorized our traffic engineer to take a look at the proposed connector. He took a look at it briefly. He's going to get back to us here shortly. The one thing he needs from the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, and I want to make sure I get this right, he's looking for the 309 connector traffic forecast process memorandum. Once he gets that, he's going to give us some suggestions, things to look at with respect to minimizing the impact of the proposed circle on our township roads. I put a call into Mike Boyer, who is the regional director of the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. I did not hear back from him yet. Hopefully we'll be able to get that quickly, and if not, we're going to file a right to know act to get that document so that we can get it to our traffic engineer so he can get up to speed and give us some suggestions on how to help out all of us with respect to the impact that we're probably going to see as a result of this. Also, we reached out to some state officials, Shelby Labs and Senator Coleman. Joe, if you want to talk about the meeting with possibly Senator Coleman?
Yeah, so right now we're figuring out times for next week to talk to Senator Coleman and his staff, and I expect to speak with Representative Labs on Wednesday of this week. But obviously with a project like this, the state's heavily involved. There's only so much we can do at a local level, so it's really critical that we're in sync with our statewide leadership. So we will be working with them over the coming weeks to raise all of the issues that have been communicated to us, and then ideally have a public meeting of some sort with them in attendance as well.
With that being said, Joe is compiling questions from the public. If you have any questions you would like us to bring up during that meeting, please contact Joe via email. We're not going to let any question, all questions will be asked. We will get answers to those questions and things like that. And like I said, or as Joe said, we will be holding future meetings once we get some more information. So that's where we stand on that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, new business, COVID money use requests. Joe?
Yeah, so two things on the COVID money, and for those that are in the room here, we have approximately $875,000 related to Recovery Act or COVID money that we need to designate or utilize by the end of this year. If you recall, 2 months ago, we made an investment in some of the technology here and the camera to be able to start putting our meetings up on YouTube. The budget at that point was about $6,000 out of the referred to as ARPA money. We spent $4,800 or so in getting that done, so came in a little under budget, which is good. Tonight, I wanted to request one thing that I'm certainly running into and realizing, to the extent we utilize or we're involved in any type of litigation, or we just have general township business that we're conducting, best practice is certainly to do it on a township device rather than our own personal devices. So we thought it would be beneficial for supervisors to have either a tablet or some other device up here that they can bring with them and review documents and correspondence on those. Ballpark of $1,200 or so per device, and then I'm not exactly sure what the setup costs are, but budget-wise, maximum request would be $5,000 for 3 devices plus setup and any licensing that goes with that.
Okay. So you're looking for approval then, Joe?
Yes, please.
Okay. We can get a motion to approve purchasing supervisors' computers at an estimated budget of $5,000.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
And any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
And just one other point on all of the enhancements that we've been making. We are taking in or soliciting quotes for estimates in order to enhance what you guys can actually see here in the room. So we're hopefully going to have some screens up here in the next month or two, so you can see what we're actually seeing on our screen or what's on the website while you're here in person. So that'll be the next step.
So plans, all that kind of stuff will be up on the screen.
Yeah.
When the state comes in and does a presentation, or lack thereof, we will have it on the screen so you guys can see it a lot better.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that, Joe.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for taking the lead on that. Okay, Penn Ridge Community Day. Is Paul here? No Paul. Okay, so,
Paul.
yeah. Paul's the Percy Rotary President. Okay,
All right.
well, basically, they're having their Penn Ridge Community Day. I know we've donated previously. I don't know what we've donated. $100.
This is what?
This is on,
300 for advertisement?
yeah, so I guess previously we've done 100.
Yeah.
And the question on the table is, are we comfortable at that level?
We've done it the last 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years?
At 100.
Yeah.
Last year they didn't cash the check, so.
They didn't. Interesting.
Wow.
My preference would probably be to increase that to the 300 mark.
Man, you're brazen. I agree.
I feel like 100's a little insulting.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree. We've had that discussion before.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve $300 for the Penn Ridge Community Day?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Last new business, H&K extension of hours. Normally Lorraine would take this, but
Go ahead.
so it looks like the quarry's looking to increase their hours between May 1st and May 31st, excluding holidays. Yep. Sorry about that. Excluding holidays and also excluding private jobs. So can I get a motion to approve H&K extension of hours from May 1st to May 31st?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
But just one, is there anybody in the audience that lives near the quarry? I'm just kind of curious what this actually
This is a long
Actually-
story.
Yeah. This is the extension of
This is
hours for
this is-
H&K.
Yes, this is for the Chalfont Quarry. This is
Skunk
their
Hollow.
concrete plant. This is their asphalt plant, obviously, and the reason why they need the extension of hours is due to the turnpike work that they do and any PennDOT work after hours, obviously, to reduce the risk of somebody out there paving getting hit, you know, things like that. So, and realistically, I can't recall the last time that they did it more than like, it's less than 5-6 times a month that they've done it, even though we've
yeah.
given them the time. So
Yeah.
that's it in a nutshell.
Yes, sir. Well, this would allow them to run from 6:30 p.m.
To 6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m.
Yes.
Now, just because we grant permission doesn't mean they actually do it, so. Okay, so was there a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, supervisor comments.
I want to take a moment and thank our face of Hilltown, the woman who you see at the front counter, Lisa. Lisa is retiring as of May 11th, Joe? Is that correct?
The 11th or 10th?
The 10th. The 10th. So I want to take the time to thank her for her years of service with us. She is retiring and going to be taking care of her grandson, I believe. So again, we want to thank her for her service. And also we have a road crew guy that's retiring. Geyer Davis has been with us for 20 plus years.
Long time, yeah.
Geyer's been with us for a while. So I also wanted to thank him. And if we're going to do anything for him, you know, let us know and we'll help out. Hilltown Water and Sewer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joe, none?
Oh, I have one more.
Yes,
Sorry.
go ahead.
As you guys know, the bridge on Calla Hill is being repaired, fixed, finally. Yes, it's been quite some time. They are starting construction, Tim, am I correct? They put up the barriers, silt and all that?
Yep. They're gearing up to do the demolition of the existing structure and then start to replace the new structure in. My understanding is the schedule tentatively looks like the project should be wrapping up by October of this year.
October of this year. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's all I have, Caleb.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I do apologize for misreading the room as well. I thought this was for the 309 conductor update.
There's a lot of us here today.
Okay, good.
Fair enough.
We said it was brief, it was very brief, but we are moving forward in the right direction. And as far as the other project that the other side of the room is here for. Yep. Sorry about that. Is that better? No? It is on. Real fast, Tim, can you take us through the process of Max Performance? They came in for a sketch plan. Obviously, there are some folks in the room that wanted to have comment. Can you kind of lay out the plan of when they're going to have that opportunity?
Sure. So the sketch plan submission is not a requirement of an applicant. That's a elective that an applicant chooses to take if they want some initial feedback from the Township Planning Commission and or supervisors. So they did submit the sketch plan. It does go through a cursory review from my office for bigger issue items. You know, if there's zoning issues or land development type of issues, we try to point those things out. And it's really just to open up a dialogue with the applicant and the township if there's anything that's really problematic or concerning. It's a good time to try to get those things addressed, at least out in the open so they can consider them. Because once they fully engineer the plan, then it's sometimes a little harder to get things changed. With that being said, they did go through the sketch plan process. Again, not a requirement, but elective that they elected to do. But the next step in the process, if they choose to go forward with the application, is to file a preliminary land development plan, which is a formal application for approval. And once that application comes into the township, then the township has a time frame in which to complete a review of that, and then also bring it before a public meeting. So the Planning Commission, which meets on the third Monday of every month, you can check your agendas based on the website. They're always posted in advance of the meetings as far as what's on the agenda.
You can certainly, if you're in the public and you are concerned about the project or you just want to hear more about it and have a chance to speak on it, you can come to those meetings. They are public meetings. They are here in this room at 7 p.m. on the third Monday, and the Township Planning Commission will give you an opportunity to make a public comment or discuss it with the applicant. And then ultimately, if the project is passed on by the Planning Commission to the supervisors, your elected officials here, who obviously meet on the fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m., that's obviously a public meeting, and at that time, it would be up for consideration of an actual approval. The Planning Commission is just a recommending body. The Planning Commission's recommendation may be something the board agrees with, or they may not agree with it, but the Board of Supervisors, your three elected officials sitting up here, are the ones who have the final say in approving a plan. Just so you understand that there is a zoning ordinance, and there is a subdivision land development ordinance, and a stormwater management ordinance. All three ordinances apply to this project. So they have to comply with the zoning requirements. If they, for some reason, don't comply with the zoning requirement, if it's determined that they're not in compliance with that, the only recourse is to go forward. If they're not going to be able to comply, they have to go to the zoning hearing board, which is another application, which is another opportunity for public participation. It's a separate board from this board, and they would be in front of the zoning hearing board just to seek relief from the zoning requirement. If they don't have to go to the zoning hearing board, then they are strictly in front of this board and the Planning Commission for land development approval. And at that time, the plans would be fully engineered, so you'd have a lot more details of what's being proposed. We'd have a much more extensive review letter, trying to make sure that they're meeting all the requirements of the township. And that's really, in a nutshell, how the process works. The preliminary plan is the initial submission, goes through the approvals process, and then depending on the conditions of approval, a preliminary plan, it would actually have to go back through the process one more time as a final plan, and eventually if they get the final approval from the township, at that point they would be in a position, once they satisfy any conditions of approval, to record that plan and then come in and get a building permit. So this process, if you're looking at timelines, and again, we don't even know when this plan will eventually show up at the township for initial review. The process can take upwards of a year, depending on how complicated the application is and how many meetings they have to go to and how many revisions they have to make to the plan. So this is not something that happens within a month or two or whatever. This is a lengthy review process.
So bottom line is there's several more opportunities to have questions for the applicant, for the engineering. Make sure you check the website. And I do apologize, generally we don't take public comment during the presentation just to keep the ball rolling. However, now is public comment. So if you want to say something about that project, feel free to come on up. Just tell us your name, address, and speak your piece.
Hello, and thank you for letting me speak. My name is Aslan Beck. I have been a Hilltown resident for 40 years. That's my entire life. I live on Keystone Drive. I will be 3 houses down from where this proposed project is. I made a ton of phone calls, and thank you everybody for showing up and for spreading the word. Everybody here just about lives on Keystone, Orchard, Dorchester, Schoolhouse, and Devonshire, I'm sorry. And I can tell you right now, you're looking at a community of all houses. We do not want this building. I know that it is zoned particularly in a certain way, but I think everybody here would agree to let's do what we need to do to put this to a halt permanently. And I would like to propose maybe using that COVID fund to purchase that property and turn it into a park for the community. This property that is owned by the Historical Society is selling it because they are looking for money to fix the other buildings in Hilltown Township. That's a wonderful thing. I think that's great. I was speaking with the owner of Max Performance. He sounds like a nice person. It's nothing personal to him and his business. My husband and I, we are small business owners. Anybody that owns a business knows you are in the business to grow and prosper, to benefit, to help. You can't tell me that business is not going to grow and prosper. That's the whole point of being a business owner, so you can improve your life and improve the lives of others and make money. We're all houses. We already have the trash trucks, the lights, the noise. UPS, FedEx, Amazon, and they want to add even more to this. It's not practical, it's not safe, and it is nothing against Max Performance. I don't care what business it would be, whether it would be a dollar store, a strip mall, anything. We do not want it. We don't want it. If there is anything that we can do as a community and as neighbors and you know, residents of Hilltown Township, Bucks County, the three of you, please come and seek us out individually. I'm even willing to entertain, let's count all the houses on these streets, let's put our money in a pot and make an offer to purchase that property. We pay taxes. Can't you use our tax money to use it as open space and you know, a small park? We don't have anything like that where we live. So I thank you, I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope everybody else comes out and speaks their piece. Thank you for showing up, and we need to keep showing up to these meetings. It's important. We are residents of this township. This township lives and breathes because of us, Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Richardson, 1319 Keystone. So while I know a lot of folks are here for the other issue, there are still, as indicated earlier, a handful that are here for the connector update. And first off, I'd like to thank the supervisors for your engagement since the last meeting on the topic and the progress that's been made. Certainly appreciate that, and would look and hope for that to continue. If I could, there's a couple of clipboards here for anybody that is here for that topic. We're just trying to make sure that all the residents and business owners are aligned and knowledge sharing alike, just so folks know the meeting is occurring. So if you'd like one of those clipboards, we'll pass that around. And again, thank you for the progress made thus far, and look for that to continue.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Hi, Kathy Lawler, Village Dorchester, 154 Dorchester Drive. We were talking about the 309 extender. We have Waste Management expanding their area. We have Wawa going in at 152. We've got the warehouse at Poor Geitz's residence and business on 309. How much more do we need? Hilltown Township needs more green space, more quiet space. Let's make this a green space. If we can. And I do want to say, from what you said, Joe, thank you for working with the state on that 309 extender. The zoning was changed to mixed use. I know it's not residential for that property. Thanks. But the whole area is surrounded by residences, except across Bethlehem Pike where we have Waste Management. It's all residences. Please, let's not dirty it up more with the industrial use. One other thing was, something that Aslan said about the business growing and expanding. What if it doesn't? What if it goes bust? And we get a derelict building sitting there, and we get a parking lot with weeds going through it. The property values, again, because it's all residences, are just going to go downhill. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale Ott, Mill Road. While we have a full audience here, and I apologize if this may be inappropriate or not, but I'd like to invite the crowd here, the audience, to join Hilltown Friends. It's a Facebook page that was designed by residents. It's posted by residents. The idea was to get the community involved in development activities, any kind of activity within the township, whether it's finding your lost cat, whether it's basket bingo, holding it at a church, any kind of local events. These guys work for you. In order for them to get a grasp on what the community wants, we need the community to come out to events like this to show their opinions of things. So if you join Hilltown Friends, it gives you an opportunity to post events, post things like this meeting or anything going on within the community. So please come. We ask that you be respectful to what you post, but please come and join the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Joe Dariano, and I'm also a member of this crew. Oh, they can't hear me either. Sorry about that. I have just a quick question. It's more of a point of order. Is anything that we're saying here tonight actually going to change anything that was done? You approved that they could move on beyond the sketch. Is anything we're doing here tonight going to impact that project for the Max Performance project?
Go ahead, Tim.
Well, there was a question and answer about the project. There was no approvals tonight. As I explained earlier, the sketch plan process is just a opportunity for the applicant to share the project with the township, but there's no, whether or not this board said yay or nay, or we like it or we don't, they're still allowed to submit a plan for official consideration. So I can't answer your question about whether or not your input tonight is going to have any effect, but I can tell you that the process is just in its infancy at this point. If they choose to go forward with the preliminary plan, there's going to be a whole nother round of meetings where you can still make your thoughts known, and that may still weigh in on, you know, whether or not the project is going to go forward.
All right, well, I just have one comment I want to make. As a business person for many, many years, I understand the importance of bringing business into the community. I understand the benefits of it, both to the residents and to the township. But besides business, I'm just asking you as a group to also consider the safety of the people in your community, because I'm quite sure that at that intersection, there have been a number of serious injuries and accidents, and this is simply going to add to it. So for the safety of the community, we would just ask you to consider that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I would just like to follow up on what you said about
What's your name, miss?
I'm sorry, I'm Brenda Wire on Devonshire Way. What you said about this is just whatever, this was preliminary, but it's going to go forward. So that means you're going to spend all your time and money considering this on and on and on when we're asking you not to do this.
Well, we don't know if it's going forward. I mean, that's up to the applicant. We don't control whether or not the applicant goes forward or not. That's totally their decision. And as far as the money being spent, that's the applicant's to spend in terms of the application fees and the escrows that go into to finance the reviews that are done by the township. The township is not paying for the reviews of my office or anybody other professionals. So you're not subsidizing that. That's the applicant's cost to bear.
But you're allowing the applicant to go ahead. There's nothing that can stop that.
That's the applicant's right to do that.
They have the right to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have ability to tell an applicant that they can't make an application, if you follow me. It doesn't necessarily mean that every applicant that files an application is going to be successful in getting their approval, but what it means is we can't restrict somebody to say you cannot make an application. Everybody has a right to apply for approval on their property. It's property rights, basically.
So they own the property?
From what I understand, they may be equitable owners of it. They may have an agreement of sale with the current owner to develop the property. Now, agreements of sale, and the solicitor probably knows this better than I, if you want to explain how that works.
You want to jump in?
Yes, in an agreement of sale. So we're not sure what the ownership interest here is, but we could surmise that it is probably they're under an agreement of sale. Consequently, they're the equitable owner of the property. So if certain conditions are met, that contract will come to fruition. They'll become the legal owners of the property. What Tim was referencing earlier, and this, they have a right to go forward because of those ownership interests in the property. Just like you would have the ability to submit an application regarding your property or anyone else in this room, as long as you're the owner of the property, either equitable or legal. The rules of the game, so to speak, are in the ordinances that Tim described earlier: the zoning ordinance, subdivision, land development ordinance, the stormwater ordinance. I believe Ms. Beck said at the beginning of her comments, she acknowledge that this property actually is zoned for this type of use. So we know that the use already fits within the property. Whether or not they can meet all the other criteria is what that process that Tim was describing is for. So to answer the gentleman who was up immediately before you, does your input count? Sure, it counts. And it helps illuminate issues that the public has, that allows us to look at the ordinances to see if those issues can be addressed or not. And that will ultimately lead to the final determination of whether it gets approved, denied, approved with certain conditions, what those conditions may be. But I think sometimes the thing that often gets lost in the process is the board is following the ordinances that are already enacted, and they have to. They do not have complete discretion. They could not somehow kill this project right here tonight. There's not a mechanism for that at law. That wouldn't happen. But it is a long process. There's going to be many more opportunities to comment on this, and things will change. I mean, they usually change during the plan process. When you start getting into the details of a formal plan, there's going to be issues that get kicked out. There's going to be things that get discovered in engineering review.
So we need to be at the planning, when it gets to that point.
Correct.
The planning commission, we need to be there and express.
There'll be, as Tim described, the whole series of meetings, and you're welcome to be at any of those, from the planning commission meetings. And the governing statute is something called the Municipalities Planning Code, which we all refer to as the MPC. That envisions a two-cycle process, preliminary plan process, where you go to the planning commission, give them the supervisor. Sometimes you go to the planning commission multiple times. Sometimes you revisit the supervisors multiple times. You hit that preliminary plan approval part, and then you go through the same thing as final land development. Again, back to the planning commission, back to the supervisors, often multiple times. If a zoning issue develops, then that's a separate jurisdiction. They have to go to the zoning hearing board. That was the young lady who was up here about the daycare center earlier in the evening.
Right.
So there could even be that venue in which to participate and comment as well.
Okay, so just one last thing. I looked at the map and the site where this company's currently located, and it looks like what it looks like across Bethlehem Pike from us, like it's all industrial.
Right.
So just to make that comment.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, Ed Gottlieb I'm on Devonshire Way, and I know from what I hear, obviously you guys are looking at, there's going to be tax income from this business. It's going to benefit the community and whatever, but on the downside, I'd be walking from there on Devonshire Way. I looked at places. I bought a property 2 months ago. If I was driving back, I checked it a couple times. If I was driving here and saw a warehouse here, wouldn't have bought it. I'm not the first. I'm sure other people driving looking to buy a place, and you see something a block away. I probably wouldn't do it. And so think about the loss too that could be coming. And also I use that intersection, excuse me, no, I'm not a public speaker.
You're doing fine.
I use that intersection 3-4 times a day. It's hairy. It's what Joe was talking about. So there's a little bit of there's like a hill thing. Sometimes cars come and you can't really see it. Sometimes you wait there, you might wait there for 15 cars before you can turn. Are they gonna put a light there now? So now there'll be a street light? And then, it's just, it's not going to be what I wanted for my community when I moved here. I wanted quiet, country-ish, look, now I'm next to a warehouse. So it's not what I wanted. So.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Adamson, and I live in Sturbridge on Sturbridge Court, Village at Dorchester. And first off, I'm disappointed in Hilltown Township. When I moved here years ago in Percy, I thought Hilltown Township did a great job in the aesthetics of the community. Do you ever go down Old Bethlehem Pike? It's disturbing.
Sure.
It's trashy. And then we have waste management going to make it even worse. And now this. You have ruined our property values. Absolutely ruined them. And we're so upset. This is just deplorable, what you've done. And I can't tell you how upset we are about that. What happened to Hilltown Township?
Hi, Shelley Schollenberger, 1301 Keystone Drive. And I'm kind of going back to the 309 connector update. Really appreciate you putting it on the agenda and working with, our other neighbors to see what we can do about this. But I just wanted to get some clarification on some of the comments that you had made on your follow-up. So I just tried to jot some things down. You said that you were trying to reach out to Mike Boyer, Regional Director.
Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission.
Okay, and then what is your goal, or what are you hoping to achieve from that?
We're trying to get some more information to help our traffic engineer take a good look at what the state is doing to help minimize any impact on our roads resulting from the project.
Okay, so it's not an opportunity to potentially put a stop to it?
No.
Okay. And then you had mentioned about compiling questions. Is that for the meeting with Senator Coleman?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so I guess it would be kind of two purposes. One is to make sure that we as a township know what questions or concerns are out there that may be in our control, and then also give questions or concerns to Representative Labs and Senator Coleman as well.
And what's the timeline for that, just so that
we
make sure we get the questions to you, any ample time before that period?
So I'm actually going to send out, I've been working with Brian, who's kind of been my main point of contact. I'm going to send him what I have, and then we can kind of sync up from there.
Okay.
And then, I think to Jim's point, the idea with the traffic engineers take an independent look at the impact of the entire project. We'll be working through our state contacts to raise every other concern.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the avenue that you're kind of thinking of in terms of what can we do about
I just
the
wanted
project.
clarification on what we were hoping to accomplish by talking to the Mike Boyer gentleman.
Of course.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Howdy. Danny Kell, 1790 Keystone Drive. I'd like to have a couple comments about the 309 connector. First job I had out of high school was I was on the Sellersville bypass, so I'm old and so's that, but it's still there, and so am I. Good. And one of the first jobs I had on there, and there was a lot of division on that road when I was a young fella, and one of the first jobs they gave me was to walk up Marin Road and knock on all the doors and let the people know we were going to close Marin Road because it ran across Old Bethlehem Pike. And if you think you're angry here, you should have seen the people on Marin Road. A couple of them answered the door with shotguns. They were not happy, and I guess that's why they gave me the job. But I just wanted to set the tone for what's going on here, and I just want to talk a little bit about the history of this. I worked on the first phase. Ed Rendell was the governor on the first phase, and that was pushed ahead with Olmec for funding. There was some politics going on in the first one. Then there was a gap of 10 years on that thing till the next section came out. The next section came out, and it proceeded smoothly. So there was a lot of float between Section 1 and Section 2. The Secretary of Transportation came down here last summer and took a look at it. And I don't know if you got any feedback, but I'm sure the feedback was they're going to finish early. And when that feedback went back, I'm sure there was a little bit of a push to get the next section started, because it usually is when there's a schedule jump. And there was also District 6 put out a memo 2 weeks ago that said there was a windfall from the BIL, the infrastructure bill that came out, and spend the money when you can. So that's coming up too. There's a lot of background here. We all know about it. So with all that stuff set up, the first thing I wanted to talk about was Keystone Drive and the detour. I talked to a couple guys in the state. I've been in the highway business for 50 some years, do the math, 56 years. And they really don't put detours on township roads. They recommend that they put them on state roads, and there's a lot of reasons. They're set up for state traffic. They're painted the right way. The signals are the right way. They maintain all their detours. The logical place to put a detour for this job is to take 113 to Diamond Street. You got stacked lanes all around. You can get them across, take Diamond Street up to Hilltown Pike. If you got to put a signal there, you got a signal there. You're going to put a signal somewhere, but that's the logical place to put a detour to connect all these state roads. The risk involved in putting this traffic on Keystone Drive, I can't even describe the risk that you're taking putting traffic on Keystone Drive when it's a township road. I do not want that risk over me. I live on Keystone Drive. We shouldn't take that risk as a township. It's got to be borne by the state. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'll go right to Fair Hill Road. I don't think, and this is me talking, I don't think Fair Hill Road should have a roundabout there. I think there ought to be a ramp to northbound. There should be a cul-de-sac at the end of Fair Hill Road, and there should be a sound barrier from Marin Road all the way up to the top of the hill there at Clearview. All those roads stop, and there's Clymer Road up in Sellersville. All those roads used to go through. They all stop now, and people are very happy with the closure of the road, but we really don't need that traffic on Fair Hill Road. It's just not going to be good. I'll go a little bit farther. I think as part of this, the next thing is I think we have to get rid of a lot of the traffic before it gets over here, before this whole thing dumps over here. I think there should be 2 slip ramps. One coming southbound, northbound, a slip ramp at 113 to access Bergey's and across there. Another slip ramp at Broad Street and Lansdale, picking up that to go to Merck. Take that traffic off before it gets over here. It's all local traffic if you put 2 slip ramps in there. Then I'll start coming north on 309. The first bugaboo there is, and I'm going to talk about road user rules. Roadway use liquidated damages. The Colmar station impacts, with every train that comes through there, I think it impacts about 800 or 900 vehicles, maybe 1,000. And each one of those people that sit there for 10 or 15 minutes has a dollar value on their car and on their head and the emissions and everything, and that's how they get road user liquidated damages. Would probably cost them $12,000 every time a train came through there for all the people and all the time they lost. That railroad track needs to get elevated over 309, and the station needs to get elevated, and so be it. They're all like that down on the main line. All those stations are up above. Let the traffic go underneath it. I'll move up to County Line. The County Line connector to 309 has been in the books for at least 20 years, maybe more. They had the property. I don't know if the state sold it, but let's get that thing straightened out and get people over to County Line so we can get rid of that mess at Hilltown Pike. And, you know, I'm just talking about logical stuff that's been in the planning for years. And the last thing I want to talk about is up at the home at Church Road. Church Road should be a straight-through intersection, a crossroads intersection at Unionville Pike. Take it around the back of the home between Tegon and the home, loop it over and intersect it with clean earth, and let those tractor trailers get down in there into clean earth instead of running that 10 to 15 foot corner there that they're beating down, trying to get around the corner. And just close Church Road there, make it a jug handle, give that land to the old age home, do whatever you want with it, but that's my solution for Church Road. Other than that,
I'm just kind of worn out with living on Keystone Drive for 50 years. We built our house 50 years ago on there, and I got passed coming over here tonight by a kid in a car on Keystone Drive past the S-turn. He passed me on that little bridge down in the hollow where we put the Christmas lights up, and he went out there. What's going on? It's crazy. It's crazy. And then we're in the test track of the motorcycle place, and in Peruzzi, everybody just comes down the hill. It's getting after us. So anyway, that's all I had. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
My name is Margaret Leckie, and I come from the community of Dorchester Village. And I moved up here 6 years ago, and I left Feasterville. That has been ruined, that whole area down there. And I lived there 50 years and went to many meetings and approached people on the board. You have a big responsibility for this area. Don't let this area be ruined like that whole area down there. From the Oxford Valley Mall up through Feasterville, it's a shame. The thing I want you to know tonight is there's a lot of people surrounding Keystone Drive and this area, and we are unhappy about this. So if you don't take another thing away from this meeting tonight, we would like you to really know how unhappy we are. One other thing that I do not understand, I love living up here. I pinch myself when I come into my community and I say, I get to live here every day. It's beautiful. The people are wonderful to each other. It's a quiet neighborhood. But you go out on the highway there, I don't understand why Hilltown puts up with how awful those companies look out on that highway. When I was I'm rambling on, but when I was a little girl and Lady Bird Johnson started years ago with fixing up all those, I'm going back to the junkyards, and she made a change in this country with that. And I mean, we're a little community, but we can make a change. That highway has to look better. This company that's interested in building on that lot, we have industrial parks around here. Go to one of them. Find a lot in there. Do not ruin what we have in our community. And I thank you for the effort and time that you put in listening to us. But I love these people. I know mostly everybody in this room, and we're a caring community, and we do not want this. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Hi, real quickly.
Sorry.
I don't. I remember Big Bird.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Real quick, Joe Roberto, Fair Hill Road. You guys have heard from me before regarding the 309 connector, and I also want to echo Brian, and I thank Brian for you guys actually starting to really take a look at this. And I can't thank you enough. I feel like now we're getting some, at least discussion and some momentum. A few things, please, please, please. At least stand up and say like a plan B, a plan A. Let's just not think that PennDOT can come in and destroy our township. Stand up for after you get the results and you get the studies and all those things, and stand up and be vocal and at least get PennDOT to listen to us, because this could be disastrous. And a plan B would be minimally, ask for lower speed limits, get traffic calming, those sorts of things. And I've said this before about a year ago. I'd like the engineer to take a look and make the recommendations, not just be given what the planning, commission says, but I'd like Hilltown to take an approach forward and says, listen, this might be a little too much. Minimally, we need this, this, and this. That would be greatly appreciated. And we support you, and we'll get the questions to you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, we do we do have to wrap up fairly soon. We have some people here to set up voting for tomorrow, so go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I just want to make one more comment. Aslan Beck again. I went out there with the owner of Max Performance and the gentleman who accompanied him. And I wanted to introduce myself. I was very cordial in the beginning. And I said to him, if you really care about our community, and I really want you as the board to consider what I'm saying. I said to him, if you really care about our community, you will stay and listen to the comments of the residents. Where are they? Where are they?
All right, last one. Last one, please.
Thank you, and I know you guys got to wrap up. I just had a quick question for the sake of the Max Performance. I know they're putting this under the G8, which is an allowed use, but...
Can you state your name?
I'm so sorry. Yes, Justin Lockman, 524 Keystone Drive.
Thank you,
I'm
Justin.
neighbor of Aslan's. Everything they were talking about seemed to be storing parts and, distribution and warehousing, which is not an allowed use. Also, there aren't trucks allowed on Keystone Drive right now, and they want to, because Bethlehem Pike is a terrible road right there to try to enter and exit on, and Keystone Drive is a terrible road right there to enter and exit onto with the hill. And with all the comments, I just wondered, is there a mechanism that somebody could let them know that, there's all these problems? I mean, nobody even questioned that they asked for a G, or that they're using a G8, but nobody even asked them what they're actually. Yeah, so I just thought ahead of time, before they spend all this engineering money, maybe somebody ought to let them know the general feeling and, some of these other questions.
It's a sketch plan. When they put in their preliminary plan, all that will get shaken out.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
Yep. Yeah, just thought to save them some trouble.
Thanks.
All right,
They're
thanks.
big boys. Thank you.
All right, okay, any press? No press? Can I get a motion to adjourn at 8:26?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you,
coming out
everybody.
tonight.
Safe travels going home.